It's my pleasure. No, it's impossible to let him go like that, Ganya thought to himself, glancing spitefully at the prince as they went. The rogue got it all out of me and then suddenly took off his mask. That means something. We'll see. Everything will be resolved, everything. Today. They were already standing outside his house. 8. Ganchka's apartment was on the 3rd floor, up a rather clean, bright, and spacious stairway, and consisted of 6 or 7 rooms, large and small, quite ordinary, incidentally, but in any case not at all what the pocket of an official with a family, even on a salary of 2,000 rubles, could afford. But it was intended for keeping tenants with board and services, and had been taken by Ganya and his family no more than 2 months earlier, to the greatest displeasure of Ganya himself, on the insistent demand of Nina Alexandrovna and Varvara Ardalionovna, who wished to be useful in their turn and to increase the family income at least a little. Ganya scowled and called keeping tenants an outrage. After that it was as if he began to be ashamed in society, where he was in the habit of appearing as a young man of a certain brilliance and with prospects. All these concessions to fate and all this vexatious crowding, all of it deeply wounded his soul. For some time now, every little thing had begun to annoy him beyond measure or proportion, and if he still agreed for a time to yield and endure, it was only because he had already resolved to change and alter it all within the shortest space of time. And yet this very change, this way out that he had settled on, was no small task, a task the imminent solution of which threatened to be more troublesome and tormenting than all that had gone before it. The apartment was divided by a corridor that started right from the front hall. On one side of the corridor were the 3 rooms that were to be let to specially recommended tenants. Besides that, on the same side of the corridor, at the very end of it, near the kitchen, was a 4th room, smaller than the others, which housed the retired General Ivolgin himself, the father of the family, who slept on a wide couch and was obliged to go in and out of the apartment through the kitchen and the back door. The same little room also housed Gavrila Ardalionovich's 13-year-old brother, the schoolboy Kolya. He, too, was destined to be cramped, to study and sleep there on another very old, narrow, and short couch, covered with a torn sheet, and, above all, to tend to and look after his father, who was more and more unable to do without that. The prince was given the middle one of the 3 rooms. The first, to the right, was occupied by Ferdishchenko, and the third, to the left, was still vacant. But first of all Ganya took the prince to the family side. This family side consisted of a large room that was turned, when needed, into a dining room, of a drawing room, which was, however, a drawing room only during the daytime, but in the evening turned into Ganya's study and bedroom, and, finally, of a third room, small and always closed. This was the bedroom of Nina Alexandrovna and Varvara Ardalionovna. In short, everything in this apartment was cramped and squeezed. Ganya only gritted his teeth to himself, though he may have wished to be respectful to his mother. It was evident the moment one stepped into the place that he was the great tyrant of the family. "Where's your luggage?" he asked, leading the prince into his room. "I have a little bundle, I left it in the front hall." "I'll bring it right away. All we have for servants are the cook and Matriona, so I have to help, too." Varya supervises everything and gets angry. "Ganya says you came today from Switzerland?" "Yes. Is it nice in Switzerland?" "Very." "Mountains?" "Yes." "I'll lug your bundles here right away." Varvara Ardalionovna came in. "Matriona will make your bed now." "Do you have a suitcase?" "No, a bundle." "Your brother went to get it, it's in the front hall." "There's no bundle there except this little one. Where did you put it?" asked Kolya, coming back into the room. "But there's nothing except that," announced the prince, taking his bundle. "Aha! And I thought Ferdishchenko might have filched it." "Don't blather," Varya said sternly. She also spoke quite dryly with the prince and was barely polite with him. "Cher Babette, you might treat me a little more gently, I'm not tin." "You still ought to be whipped, Kolya, you're so stupid." "You may address all your needs to Matriona. Dinner is at 4:30. You may dine with us or in your room, whichever you prefer. Let's go, Kolya, stop bothering him. Let's go, decisive character. On their way out they ran into Ganya. Is father at home? Ganya asked Kolya and, on receiving an affirmative reply, whispered something in his ear. Kolya nodded and went out after Varvara Ardalionovna. A couple of words, Prince, I forgot to tell you, what with all these doings. A request, do me a favor, if it's not too much of a strain for you, don't babble here about what just went on between me and Aglaya, or there about what you find here, because there's also enough ugliness here. To hell with it, though, but control yourself, at least for today. I assure you that I babbled much less than you think, said the prince, somewhat annoyed at Ganya's reproaches. Their relations were obviously becoming worse and worse. Well, I've already suffered enough on account of you today. In short, I beg you. Note this, too, Gavrila Ardalionovich, that I was not bound in any way earlier and had no reason not to mention the portrait. You didn't ask me not to. Pah, what a vile room, Ganya observed, looking around disdainfully, dark and windows on the courtyard. You've come to us inopportunely in all respects, well, that's none of my business, I don't let rooms.